Okay, it is 7 p.m. on the 16th of August, 2022, and I'd like to call the Town of Lake Mills Town Board public hearing to order. Notice is given here by the Town Board of Lake Mills, Wisconsin, that the hearing will be tonight for the review of proposed amendments and minor text updates for Town Ordinances 3-2 regulating dumping and waste disposal, 5-13 regulating launch fees at certain launch ramps on Rock Lake, and 5-16 placement of homes and outbuildings on parcels of land outside of a platted subdivisions. We will later vote to adopt the amended ordinances in our regular town board meeting. I'm going to call anyone that wants to speak on behalf of any of these updates. This is your first call. Nobody? Second call to speak on behalf of any of these updates to the ordinances. Third call for any public comment on any of the updates to the three ordinances.
Make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carried unanimously to close the public hearing. It is 7:01, August 16th, 2022, and I'd like to call the Town of Lake Mills Board to order. The notice is posted at the Town Hall and on the town's website. Can we get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to adopt tonight's agenda. I've got couple sets of minutes here. Can we get a motion to approve the public hearing on July 12th, 2022 minutes?
Make a motion to approve July 12th minutes for the public hearing.
Second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to approve those minutes.
Make a motion to approve the July 12th, 2022 Town Board meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to approve town board meetings minutes from July. Can we get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Make a motion to approve the August 2022 Treasurer's Report.
Second.
Any other discussion? All.
The third quarter transportation aid, then that was just for the whole year, isn't it, Sharon?
No, that every quarter.
Every quarter we get
Yeah.
25,000.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
You good?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to approve the treasurer's report. We get a motion to approve the town board expense sheets. That was Robin, I believe.
Make a motion to approve the expense sheet for Robin for $79.61.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to approve the expense sheets. We get a motion to approve the general fund voucher.
Make a motion to approve August disbursements of $45,215.66.
I'd second that motion.
Any other discussion? No?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to approve the disbursements. Reports, police report. Ryan,
All right, July was kind of a slow month for us, and a lot of people were gone. We had 18 and a half hours of patrol on the lake, 2 citations, 2 written warnings. Our boat was also down for about a week, so we got that repaired for $283.59. As far as patrol, there were 16 hours of patrol, handled 2 complaints, about an hour. There were 8 traffic stops, 2 warnings, 6 citations, 10 ordinance citations, 1 residence check, and 2 park checks.
Excellent, thank you. Plan Commission report, Jim?
The petition from the Cheryl Darnett? Jarrett was approved for the parcel split. And then we also approved the amendment to the Jefferson County zoning ordinance, farmland preservation.
Excellent, thanks, Jim. Cambridge Fire and EMS report, Dave.
Commissioners met on August 4th, and both you guys were there, so save most of it for later on because it's another agenda item. In the previous meeting, we authorized the EMS to spec out a new ambulance, and we give them a cap of $325,000, which I mentioned it the last time. Figuring it was going to be a couple years away, but then they kind of ran across the windfall of an ambulance that was a chassis that's already ready to go for $290,000 with the box. So they're still trying to spec that out. They do not have any authorization to buy it. It's just to spec it out and get the total cost. That still has to go through the commissioners to purchase it because it's a little bit earlier than we expected. We're really kind of looking at 25. But depending on what happens with the services, it may work out. Also, the fire chief was authorized to spend $96,118,000 on a new OSHA compliant safety needs for the exhaust system. And then the other thing is I did not mention the last time because I thought we were all instructed to keep it quiet. There was a house that came up, was offered to the fire commission for the Cambridge Fire and EMS for $350,000, which that was the offer that we made to them, which is right on the edge of the parking lot. So that offer was accepted, and there has been no closing date, and that purchase will be made by the commissioners, so it does not have to go through electors. It'll be a budget item. So right now, actually, it's going to be a little bit of a wash as long as we can keep the payment down around that $1,200 to $2,000 a month. Because right now, for the apartment that they're renting across the street, we're paying $1,200 a month for that. So it's going to be, I think it's a good deal. For one, the paramedics do not have to run across the street to get to the fire station, especially if it's raining, snowing, or dark. So this is right on the edge of the parking lot. And the other thing is when a new fire station is built and the dorms are in the fire station, then that house would be resold. So it's kind of a win-win. That's really kind of about it, other than later on in the agenda item.
All right, thanks, Dave. Joint Rock Lake Committee report?
I have a few things. We met last week, and some of the projects we're working on, we are on the agenda to talk about the Majala Channel project. We have a recommendation. We'll talk about that when it's on the agenda item. A citizens monitoring group, that's on your agenda also, but we're putting that one on hold, so we probably won't have anything to say then, because there's been more input from the Jefferson County Land and Water that what was written previously it's too detailed, and they want us to carve it back so that if they make changes, we don't have to make changes in that project. So, unless you want to talk about it again, we can take it off your agenda or pass at that time. Another thing that we've been talking about, and it was a recommendation to this from our board last year, that we develop AIS educational videos to put on the web in different locations. Our new committee is reconsidering that whole project because it's pretty costly and it's time consuming for somebody to, hire somebody to do this. It's like, creating a small movie, right? So we're reconsidering and going to talk about maybe coming up with a recommendation to post PSA announcements on different areas that are simpler, less expensive to write, and a lot of them can come right from the DNR to put those on there. What's the latest AIS that they've found? What are they doing about it? Different things like that. So no recommendation on that. Our ordinance update, I think you got a copy of the ordinance we were working on. No?
I did not.
All right, well, the only recommendation we have, and I can forward it to Robin, I thought I did, I apologize, is we have voted on making the changes that kind of clean it up, bring it up to date with what's really happening, when do we really, what are the terms that didn't line up with what we're really doing, and just some of the wording cleanup so it makes more sense. So we had not make any substantial changes. We're not gonna go and dig up the lake or anything like that. So it's just things that make it cleaned up. So if you wanna look at that and we can get some feedback from you on that, then we will start looking at if we wanna make some, detailed substance changes to it. At this time, we don't have anything that we're talking about. I do have a recommendation. Sorry. A recommendation was made by the previous Joint Rock Lake Committee that there be some management of the AIS tools that are at the boat launches. And it kind of got talked around and around, and I don't know that it doesn't appear it ever was approved. So we, on behalf of the Joint Rock Lake Committee, would like to make a recommendation that the Parks Committee develop a protocol for the Parks Department to maintain the AIS removal station location at the city launches and the town boat launches. Trish Fullerton, who wrote this for us, and we did approve this. She said, I recently visited all the AIS removal stations and there is missing broken equipment, strings that need to be replaced so the equipment can be hung up, and some relabeling of equipment. Thank you for this consideration. She has a lot of photos she can forward to you if you'd like to see them. Just need to have a plan in place so that somebody looks at them every month, every 2 weeks, whatever seems appropriate, and then somebody will say, they're broken, let's replace them. So I don't know if you vote on that or what I need to do with this.
When you say Parks Committee, you're talking about the city's Parks Committee or the?
We're talking
town?
about both.
Both.
Both, okay.
Because there's two
Right.
there's two committees and there's two departments, correct?
Right, it would have to be a
We
future
don't have a
agenda.
Parks
item.
So we'll have to present this to the city also, but we're starting here because we report to you.
We don't have a Parks Department to say that.
Okay, you just have Parks, okay.
Parks Committee.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so does that make sense to you? Do you want to ask questions about it, or?
I'm good.
Okay.
Sounds great.
All right.
Great job.
And then, okay, and it's on the agenda for the water patrol request by the Rock Lake Improvement Association. And we did unanimously approve that. We can talk about it when it's on the agenda also, if you'd like. And that was for their annual meeting. And they did invite all of the Joint Rock Lake Committee to attend the RLIA annual meeting, and any of us that are available will attend. For sure, there's probably at least 2 of us that can, and I'm presenting a very brief report.
And we discussed doing a quorum notice for that, just in case we
Right.
have a quorum.
Yeah, I sent you that information. Is that enough? Okay. And then we did talk about a budget previous to our last meeting, and so right now it's in the draft form, and I'm not sure if Robin had that to forward.
Yeah, we did.
So, we have not approved it ourselves yet, so it's in a draft form.
Okay.
If you have any questions, you can ask if you want, and I'm happy to try and answer them. It's probably a little heftier than people have asked for in the past. But we did do a lot of consideration on what we thought needed to happen with that money, so.
Yeah, the only
We'll need
question.
to put that on an agenda.
Yeah, we'll put that on an agenda.
Yeah.
That'd be fair to it.
Okay, yeah, because there may be some, when we do discuss it more in detail, which we did at our previous meeting, but we didn't approve it because there was information we didn't know.
Okay.
So,
Excellent, great.
You'll have that ready for our September meeting?
yes,
Okay.
I think
Awesome.
if it's after our meeting.
And the ordinance too?
And the ordinance also. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Town chairman report. City, not a lot of correspondence there, other than that, we've lost our public works member, but I don't think he's officially emailed us that he's resigning. So I got an email, from the city, from one of their, public works members. Not very happy with us. But I informed him that it takes time to find these. I mean, I will attempt to make those meetings, but I also can't vote during those meetings because unless there's some kind of formal approval that I'm the delegate to go there. And I think that's kind of the way they have their code or ordinance written, so.
Do you want to be delegated?
Maybe we put on the next agenda.
You have to put it on the next agenda. Maybe we'll have somebody by then anyway. There's a lot of people in the room tonight. We need somebody for the Public Works Committee. It's a pretty important role to monitor what the city's doing with sewage and sewage costs and other aspects of public works. So it would be great if somebody could step up to the plate. They meet monthly. You can attend by Zoom. Most of their meetings are Zoom now, so you don't have to actually be there in person. So they're a little more tech friendly than the small town of Lake Mills is. So nothing from the county as of now. The only correspondence I got was actually from Marissa. I think they finished their things, but my plan was just to keep that open in case they have to jot back. They're the only ones.
About the motor use on the one.
Yeah, and they're the only ones that can use it anyway, so it's not like, I'm not too worried about that. Nothing really at the state. I haven't heard anything back on the Mud Lake Road grant proposal. That should be coming around the corner. Hopefully we'll hear something by September, so we can start doing some planning for that, especially from a budgeting perspective. And the county got some of the shouldering done, but I don't think they got it all done. There's some spots that they don't have done, but the weather's been conducive, so they've been really pounding on County Highway S, trying to get that done as fast as possible. There's a sign, the not a through street sign. I talked to Tyson again today about that. He's ordered it a while back, but it's just, everything is taking.
Dolores Lane.
On Dolores Lane, yeah. He's got the other ones up and replaced, but it's taken forever to get that sign for some reason. So
Okay.
it's in the works. It just hasn't happened. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. I think that was.
Anything on Shore Acres Road?
Shore Acres, their projected dates are in September, early October. So when they can get a mill machine in there and go from there. So
And that's being done by the county, right?
that is done by the county, yes. So basically that's a mill and overlay. For people that don't know the process, they take the asphalt off, put the asphalt back on so it doesn't change the level of the street, which is a very kind of tight area in there, so we don't want to change drainage or do anything that disrupts flow that goes into the lake, anything that would be different than what would happen, which might happen during a complete reconstruct. So, but I have total faith in the county. They do great work, and they understand all that stuff, so we should be in pretty good shape. That's it for me, unless there's any questions from you guys. ETZ committee,
Nothing.
Parks committee, they didn't meet, so, but I know Jason he did have some costs, I think, for the signage at Ferry Park, so. And for those, I don't know if he got the board price differential either, but he was maybe gonna come later tonight for that topic. Town Hall Facilities Committee.
So we met this last week, Thursday, and we looked at another version of the drawings that we're working with HSR on. Kind of continue to tweak what our needs are, kind of give a square footage down to what we feel is reasonable, what to fit our needs. We have a field trip planned to go to a couple of town halls in the area to get a feel for what their spaces are and how they use them and materials and such. And then we're going to meet again on September 15th.
Awesome. Any questions from Robin? Well, you're on it, so.
Yeah, I'm on.
You good? All right, Dave. All right, period of public comment. This is a time for the general public to make comments on any agenda items, or they don't necessarily have to be agenda items.
Thanks, man.
This will be the only time you'll be allowable to speak unless a town board member calls on you during any of the other agenda items. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Make sure you sign in if you.
Sign in, state your name, and tell us what you want to talk about.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Anita Martin. We live at 261 Pinnacle Drive in Lake Mills. A number of residents in our Lake Mills community have voiced concerns over odors and dust from Daybreak Foods Creekwood, which is located at Crossman Road and County A. This is just a quick update on what's happening at the facility. Daybreak Foods has an air pollution control permit from the Wisconsin DNR. Their permit requires them to maintain on-site documents of all odor reports and dust reports received from residents, the results of all complaint investigations, and any corrective actions they propose or take in response to complaints. Due to ongoing odor and dust reports, Lucas Jewell, who is the DNR Air Management Engineer Compliance Inspector, sent a letter of inquiry to Daybreak Foods on June 23, 2022. Luke asked for a number of things, including a copy of their most recent malodorous emissions control plan, which is required as part of their permit, and their fugitive dust control plan. Also, he requested information on what actions Daybreak Foods has taken to address the issues, how effective the measures were, and plans going forward. The DNR did a full compliance evaluation on July 26, 2022. A written report from the DNR is expected by September 2nd, 2022. Reports regarding air odor should be directed to the Wisconsin DNR. The contact for these reports is Air Management Engineer Lucas Jewell. His phone number is 608-354-6976, or he can be emailed at Lucas, small case, Lucas, Jewell, Jewell, @wisconsin.gov. It is advisable to contact the facility at Creekwood, all one word, at daybreakfoods.com, as well as Mr. Jewell via email with odor concerns. Thank you.
Do you
I just have a quick question.
Yeah, do you know who all is going to get that report?
Well, I requested it when it's available, and then I don't know typically who will all receive it. I mean, I can forward it, or, if desired, to the board. There doesn't always seem to be a real clear, it's not always consistent with who all receives it. But I've been following it because, I've been following the orders at that facility for a long time. And there's been so many complaints and reports that people wanted to know what was happening. And they have taken a number of preventative steps over the last year in particular. And they have outlined those in their response to the letter of inquiry. So as to what that full report that the DNR puts out will contain is a little unclear at this point, but it's good that they're looking at these things and really addressing them.
If you do receive that, could you forward it to Robin so she can get it to us? Or we may get it anyway, but it's
Yeah.
roundabout.
Do you know the exact volume of complaints? Because we get one complaint almost weekly, and it's somebody that lives right next, like camps in their backyard. So I was just curious, is there a number?
Well,
Like,
I
is
don't
this
have
hundreds,
numbers.
is this?
No, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's residents from the town and it's residents from the city because the odors, they go out some 4 miles away. And we tracked that in years past in the DNR, and worked with the DNR. So I can't tell you offhand, but they've been coming in on a pretty regular basis from a number of people. The other thing is people haven't been registering reports because quite frankly, they don't always receive a response, so they kind of feel like, why are we sending a report in if we don't know if it's being received, if it's being addressed, etc. So,
Okay.
but I can forward the whole thing to you and you can take a look.
I'm just curious of a number because it's, we never hear a lot. That's,
Well, yeah, because it's going directly to, for the most part, to DNR and to the facility, but it's dozens on a regular, dozens a year.
I think it's important to make sure the reporting goes to Lucas, not to us or you, or it needs to go to Lucas so it can be documented.
Yeah, and I'm not, for quite a few years, I was taking care of the order action line, and I'm not. It needs to go directly to the DNR and to Creekwood. Thank you.
anyone else?
My name's Chad Holceder. I have a question about the abandoned vehicle ordinance in the Township of Lake Mills. I understand if you don't register it for a year, it can be towed, right?
I don't know the officer here, but, you're not supposed to have them laying all over your yard.
Right, and that's
Agriculture's a different scenario.
That's the problem we're having. So the ordinance reads, you got 10 days to move it, but all you have to do is move it 5 feet, and then you gotta start the whole process all over again. So I was wondering if there's anything we can do to change that, or what you think about that. It seems to be an ongoing problems with certain individuals. I'm not trying to nitpick everything, but like you say, you get them parked over the lawn, it looks like,
Live over in the London.
Yes,
right?
yes, there's a couple different people over there that, it's kind of the Wild West. And you're trying to keep it from turning into worse than it is.
Right.
So that's the game they're playing. The officer, they cooperated very well, but their hands are tied because every time they move the vehicle, they gotta start the whole process all over again.
Sure.
Which it takes time, and it's just a big game is all it turns into.
Well, we're looking at ordinances as you speak,
Well-
and we're updates and improvements, so.
That's if it's not registered, it's registered. If
It's-
it's not registered, I don't think that they move it 10 feet, I don't think that matters.
Yeah.
It is registered but abandoned.
All right.
Two of
That's
them
different.
abandoned.
All right, then I understand why.
Okay.
Yep, they just register it, I guess, just to keep it as lawn ornaments or whatever. The other question I had is there a noise ordinance in the Township of Lake Mills? And what exactly does that state?
Loud disturbances, it can
Okay.
be loud dogs, it can be loud, just about anything.
Jefferson County just said there was no noise ordinance out in that area. That's why I didn't think that was true, because I thought they had that everywhere.
Yeah, and
It's under public nuisance ordinance.
It's under public nuisances, or
Okay.
public nuisance ordinance, it's pretty clear cut. the way it's
Okay.
stated.
All right, well, those are my two,
And that's typically a call into law enforcement,
Not in this bunch. That's all.
and it's always best to call the county sheriff's department, because they know if our part-time law enforcement is on call or out and about.
And they may not be aware of what our local ordinances are.
yeah, they're not. No, they're not.
Okay.
They handled it. It seemed to help, but just for future reference, they said there was no ordinance out there, which I didn't think was right.
Well, we alert them too, so send an
Okay.
email to Robin. Tell him.
Okay,
And I'll forward it to the police department.
Yeah,
to-
absolutely, and they'll check in on it.
all right,
Yep.
okay. So the vehicle thing, we just gonna
Up to the ordinance.
review it, or,
Yeah, take a look at our ordinance.
Well, let's take a look at it and see if we need to
okay?
up the game a little bit on it.
Yeah, can you do something with parking on lawns? Is that against the, can you do that in the village of Lake Mills, city of Lake Mills? Can you park on your lawn?
I don't know.
For a
Not a real
certain amount of time, I think.
Yeah, probably not very long.
Yeah,
Sure,
the Shorewood neighborhood, can you park cars in your lawn?
Not for a long period of time.
Yeah, see, that's
It's
that's
no
what,
parking because it's town
Right.
right away, so.
yeah, I mean, I pay a good amount in taxes, so that's kind of my issue, you know, so.
There can't be anything in the town right away. No obstructions, no.
Right,
I mean, you're not even supposed to plant stuff in the town right away, essentially.
right, right. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep, you bet. Thank you.
Hello, Doug Brott, N6795 Sunset Road. And I don't know if it's the time to talk about it now, but later on in new business, you're about Airbnbs. And I just thought, we have one going up, one next to us at the end on a dead-end road. And I think my wife has talked to Robin about that. There is no ordinance right now dealing with Airbnbs.
No.
And you don't like to nitpick or whatever, but there are some suggestions that we'd like to have, if possible, if you want to think about having an ordinance. We think there should be some sort of yearly licensing, whereas if whatever the amount may be, so if there's a lot of issues with it, there would be some repercussion for that. We feel that maybe there should be someone that's always around, whether it be the owner or an agent. You know, like, for instance, back in May, we had an issue up there that got a little nasty. Luckily, I wasn't there, but we don't know who to call. The person's gone, and she's a good kid and stuff, but she sort of lets it freewheel, if that makes sense. But, you know, we think there should be somebody that in the neighborhood, whether it be a realtor, an agent, or somebody that we could call if there's an issue up there, rather than calling the police. We think they have better things to do than come up there. We'd like to have maybe a minimum stay of 14 to 30 days. We're getting a lot of 2 or 3 day stays, so it's almost like a hotel, basically. And we're on a dead-end road, private road, and we don't know if that's quite cricket, you know. And I don't know if there's somehow we can address that. What else we got here? It should be, hopefully it'd be, I think you said there's no ordinance whatsoever, so I don't know if other people have issues with this, but again, we're not trying to downplay the self-employed person or whatever, but it is sort of a concern. And we actually talked to one of the sheriff's deputies the other day, and they have a lot of issues with it. People from out of the town, out of the county come here, do their drug trade, and then they leave. And she was very, what she told us is that we wish there was some sort of thing that we could enforce to write a citation or something so we can keep an eye on this. But other than that, we just hope that you could consider it. And I know I got a bunch of my neighbors here tonight that sort of backing me up. Does that make sense? Anyhow, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We'll be discussing it later when it comes up in the agenda. And I think we'll probably most definitely have questions for
Yeah.
a spokesperson for your group. So if you want to determine who that's going to be.
And if some of these are the same, echoing the same points.
I'm not, I'm in the same group, but
Okay.
different points.
Okay.
I'm Mike Lecture, same thing, I'm on Sunset. And I think the thing that we're all concerned with and why we're all here is this is not only is it just a private road, there are exclusive homes on this private road, and the house that's being rented is on the other side, and somehow the people seem to think that they can go down to the lake, that they've got rights to come down, and whether they do or they don't, they still aren't coming through everyone's property, or have in the past here, okay? So that's really a concern of ours, as well as they think that when on a weekend thing, they think that this is a party house, and we're all affected by it. And personally, they've come down my driveway, getting lost or whatever, and have, my lamp post has already been knocked down twice, not necessarily by these people, but in my time living there. So there's a real concern here, the fact that it's a private road and that this is a commercial thing that's going on here, a business that's being conducted. So that's my point on it. Okay, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
You gotta sign in. My name is Nadine Lecture, and I live on Sunset as well. And some of the things that we've experienced are, just eye control. And, we don't want to keep calling the police because it's like, well, what are you going to do about it if a guy's over there peeing in your front yard? And because he's had a little too much to drink and wandered down the road. And, so we're experiencing these kind of things. And it's like, oh, do we want to keep calling the city to complain about this? And we can numerously tell you all kinds of different incidences that have happened that have made us, okay, now we gotta lock the doors and, make sure that, none of these drunks are gonna come down the road and do something, after they leave. So I just see, it being too much of with only having the ability to be there for a 2 or 3 day weekend, it's just a party haven. We come, we party, we don't care what happens, and then we leave. There's no rules. And so, we're hoping that the city can come up with an ordinance that can have rules that say at least you have to be here for a week or 2 weeks, then we know whoever's going to be there is going to be a serious person. You know what? Everybody likes to go away on vacation, but just be respectful for the other people that live in the neighborhood. So we hope that something can come from all of this. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Debbie Kenyon, W8429 Sherwood Meadows Circle. I am talking in regards to the item on 11G on tonight's agenda. In the fall 2017, the streets of Sherwood Meadows subdivision were resurfaced with pea gravel. In most parts of the street, the pea gravel never stuck to the underlying tar and remained loose. The following spring, there were a number of us that came to the board that had, we're talking piles of the gravel in their yard from after the winter plowing. And so we came to the board, and it was April 2018. Hope was in charge back then, and if you watch the video from back then, you'll see that she has said that the company that did this admitted their work was faulty and indicated that they would clean it up and resurface the streets properly at no additional cost to the town. This never happened. I'm requesting the board review the minutes and recording of the April 2018 meeting and contact the company to have the streets resurfaced properly with material that won't leave the streets rough and bumpy with lots of loose gravel. I've lived here for 26 years, and we loved, our kids were little, they were able to ride their bikes in the cul-de-sac. I have new neighbors with little ones, and if I were their parent, I wouldn't want them riding their bikes. It's awful. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
I have a question. Will there be a time to speak on items in new business after this, or?
Now's your time.
Okay.
State your name and address.
Yeah.
Please.
My name is Andrew LaValle. I live at W8432 Sherwood Meadows Circle. I'm here to ask a few questions in regards to see here, 11B, the Schwartz's property. I just have a few questions and concerns, or possible concerns. To clarify, you guys own one buildable lot, correct, in that area?
It's not the time for this.
Oh.
Questions.
Make your comments.
Oh,
Yeah, make your comments and we can ask the questions.
sorry, this is my first time at a town meeting,
That's
so
all right.
I guess I'm not quite sure. I'm new to the town of Lake Mills. We just moved here in October of last year, and I'm just trying to get caught up to speed on what's happening with the new property or the new driveway that's going in next to our house. So it's my understanding that on December 8th, 2020, at that meeting in front of this board, it was stated that what's referred to as Lot 2 wouldn't be built on, and that the intentions were to turn it back to forestry, and now there's a house on it. I'm just curious what the intentions are for the remaining 90 acres that aren't going to be built on, or supposedly won't be. And I don't know a lot about the proposed driveway that's going in. Since I just moved here, I'd like to get more information on it, but my biggest concern is drainage with that driveway, and I want to make sure that everyone's working together. All of our neighbors don't have any issues with water backing up into their property after the driveway's put in. So I guess that's my
A lot of those
biggest
questions will be answered when the agenda item comes up.
Great.
There'll be a history given of the whole project, and
All right,
so.
awesome, thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Going once, going twice. Okay, moving on. Application, discussion or decision, request made by Cheryl Jarrett of rezone and parcel split from A1 24-47 acres to A3 for 1.95 buildable lot at Conservation Road.
Do you have anything to say?
Jeremy? I defer to Jeremy.
Okay, Jeremy.
Just in the notes here, it was supposed to be amended that we didn't need to, or the planning commission didn't recommend that we need to rezone that, the back outlot as natural resources, but it does state that here on tonight's agenda.
And that's because of the time you posted.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up. That was, I guess, my only thing that I really needed to address. If you have any questions.
So basically, he's requesting the rezone the A3 for the 1.95 acre lot.
The road frontage lot.
Right.
Yep.
And the 2.2 acres that was going to be natural resources will remain A1.
Yeah, they told us, the planning commission told us that.
Correct.
That we can keep that as A1 instead of rezoning it to natural
So
resource.
he's just asking for the A3 for the 1.95 acre.
Yep, okay, gotcha.
And with that, I make a motion to approve the rezone of the lot 1.95 acre lot from A1 to A3.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Just a side note that they'll have the parks fee due.
Yeah, he was told that at.
Yep.
At what time will that?
Before you pull a building permit, we need it in hand.
Okay.
Yep.
Welcome, thank you. Welcome. Good luck. Discussion or decision of proposed text amendment to the Jefferson County zoning ordinance to be compliant with farmland preservation. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, there's just minor amendments to the Farmland Preservation Act.
Make a motion to approve the proposed text amendments from Jefferson County zoning on farmland preservation.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to approve text amendment. Old business, discussion or decision of status of Lake Mills EMS services. It's tabled.
Do we need to bring it off the table, or is there really nothing to talk about in there? Other than we received that letter, I guess.
Is this in the closed session?
Yeah, we're doing
Yeah,
some
it's
stuff in the
later in
closed
closed
session,
session.
so I don't think we need to do anything with this. Just leave it alone.
No action.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Discussion and or decision of cleaning service for town hall. This is tabled. You get a motion to take it off the table.
Make a motion to take it off the table.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Untabled. Yay. Kudos to Rob.
I have to say thanks to Kevin, he found her for
And
us.
Kevin, that's right, yep.
Is she here?
She's not here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead.
I don't have any issues with it.
I
I
don't
already
know.
got the lowdown on it.
I make a motion that we employ Tony Hrupsky,
Krupski.
and let Robin work with her, get her all set up.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Approved. Excellent. Item C, discussion or decision of proposed guardrail at the south end of Crossman Road. There's nothing happening with that,
Nope, he sent this.
Well, yeah,
earlier,
Okay,
today.
Was it?
So it's 10,000 square feet,
okay.
0.2 acres, but he just said next steps we need to discuss with Corey and our attorney.
And our attorney, yep,
Yep.
okay, yep. All right, so moving on. Discussion and or decision of proposal of bundle of some town ordinances that need updates or text amendments to send to our town attorney for review, and have more proposed bundle amendments through the normal process for public hearings and adoption. Ordinance being considered include 1-2, 1-4, 1-5, 1-7, 1-8, 1-14, 1-16, 2-7, 3-4, 3-11, 5-3, 5-8, 5-11, 5-12, and 6-4.
These basically didn't have signatures. That's the only thing that was,
Yeah, just the
90%
audience
of
is
them,
order.
yeah.
So
And
they're
that was
really
be-
not enforceable when they don't have signatures, so.
Well,
well, they were all passed with signatures. We just don't have the record of the
Record.
signature.
Right,
copies, so-
and some of it was passed as a lump ordinance book back in 1995, so we're just kind of cleaning the
Cleaning.
records up.
Yeah, okay, good house cleaning. you bet.
The attorney's opinion was that it would be a lot of money to review these, and I agree, just to get signatures on them. So these are the ones that we picked that were pretty easy to do, and there were no changes, just get them amended and get the signatures put on. So I would make a motion that
Yep.
we put an amendment at the end of the ordinances that says signatures added for record purposes,
Okay,
and then pass them, or just
go through the process.
Go through
Finish
the
the
process.
process.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
And they are enforceable according to what Eric said.
They are, okay, but they're,
Yeah,
yep.
they're not
Okay.
sitting there not enforceable, they are, it's just we're cleaning up the documents.
All right, discussion or decision of adoption, proposed amendments to the minor text updates for town ordinances 3-2, regulation of dumping and waste disposal, 5-13, regulating launch fees at certain launch ramps on Rock Lake, and 5-16, placement of homes and outbuildings on parcels of land outside of platted subdivision. Any discussion?
I would say we probably should make a motion separate for each one of those to adopt.
Um, 3-2, there's no change. I make a motion to approve ordinance 3-2, regulation of dumping and waste disposal.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 3-2.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 513, regulating launch fees at certain launch ramps on Rock Lake.
Second.
Any other discussion? Nope. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Approved 5-13.
Okay. 5-16.
Okay.
I just have on the structure placement review form, I would suggest that we take the time off for the planning commission meeting. It's, first off, it's wrong, it's 7 o'clock now. but
Oh, right.
I would just leave it off.
Yeah.
It's the first Tuesday of each month, unless you are contacted with a different date.
And I see he's got the $50 fee on that one yet too.
Yeah,
So
okay.
fee schedule on that one.
Yeah, it's a fee schedule.
Okay, so those two.
Makes total sense.
But that's just the form, that's the application, not the ordinance itself.
Well, I think it should refer back to the fee schedule.
Right.
Yeah, so. Okay, I would make a motion to approve ordinance 5-16, placement of homes or structures on parcels of land outside of a platted subdivision with those amendments.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to approve 5-16. 11, new business. Discussion or decision of petition to request regulations on Airbnbs in the town of Lake Mills.
Okay. It just so happens that the Towns Association had an article on this back in February of 2022, which basically says that towns have very little control over Airbnbs. They can create an ordinance that would prohibit minor things, nothing major. But the biggest thing, I think, is that it says, does our town have to regulate short-term rentals? It's the answer from the attorney at the Towns Association was that no. If your town does not have concerns about short-term rentals, you may find there is no need to regulate them locally. The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, DATCAP, must license tourist rooming houses, which would include any short-term rental that operates for more than 10 nights per year. So they have, and it says when a license application is submitted to them, they assign a sanitarian to inspect the business. The sanitarian will check for building safety issues, clear exits, doors, locks, fire extinguishers, recent private well tests, etc., and other public health concerns, facility cleanliness, proper linen and toweling handling, size of sleeping rooms, garbage disposal, etc. So your town board may decide that little or no additional regulation is needed. Now, if they're renting for more than 10 nights a year, they have to be licensed with the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture. That's the first thing you want to check.
Where did we get that information from?
On DATCAP,
DATCAP.
Website. That we're at, the
That's a
DATCAP website?
Department of Agricultural.
Yeah, there'll be a section on it. They got a nice website to get to where you need to get to.
Okay. And then it also goes on to say, people staying in short-term rentals like any other person in the town would be required to comply with noise ordinances, parking regulations, and other generally applicable local ordinances your town may already have in place. We do have a nuisance ordinance which controls noise and a lot of the things that you stated as far as peeing on the front lawn and things like that. That's public nuisance. So, I mean, our police department could handle those complaints the way it is right now with our nuisance ordinance. No additional ordinance needed. But like I said, if we were to create an ordinance, you would, I gotta get this right. Okay, they could, communities with village powers might consider adopting public health and safety provisions that do the following. Prohibit the use of temporary lodging like tents on the property in a way that allows the property to have more overnight guests than would otherwise be allowed under the property tourist rooming house license. For example, if the tourist rooming house license allows the property to safely accommodate up to 12 overnight guests, your ordinance might prohibit the use of additional tents on the property to be used and extra lodging to accommodate overnight guests beyond the allowable number. It could require that there be a named property manager or other agent available by phone in case the town emergency services or members of law enforcement need to get a hold of a person. So we could do an ordinance that way. Require building and fire code inspection and compliance with all state and local county building codes and regulations, but DATCAP already does that. Require proof of appropriate insurance for the short-term rental. Excuse me. Require all guests to register and that records be kept with names, addresses, and dates of rental. The town might also require that records be kept on the amount of consideration paid for the rental if a room tax ordinance is in place. We do not have a tax ordinance in the town. We talked about that years ago, but the money collected under that has to go to encourage tourism, which, you know, there was no real benefit, no windfall that the town was going to get out of that. It had to be spent for tourism. Require the dwelling to have adequate parking available for those using the property at any given time. And it says, note that any restrictions or conditions the town may wish to require under its license should be reasonable and not so restrictive as to amount to an illegal prohibition on short-term rentals. So in other words, we couldn't say you can't have dogs if you people in the area own dogs, because that would be against, you know, it wouldn't be legal. So we couldn't put any more restrictions on that property than what we already have on your properties.
They do have to have a chain on their dog when their dog is out, because everybody has to have their dog on a chain.
Dogs have to stay on the property.
On the property.
Once off the property, then it needs to be leashed.
And they come off the property and.
And that's an animal.
That's kind of,
large.
that's kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of been everywhere.
That's an animal running at large. So it's different.
No, but it's, they're not familiar with the area, so they don't know where the property line is yet, you know?
So, bottom line is that they already should be licensed with the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture. That's your first thing you should check. If they're not, then I guess, you know, they would have to come out and enforce that. Then the town, excuse me, could look into a town ordinance, but it's,
First steps,
whatever.
first things first.
Yeah, first things
let's
first.
go through each
Yeah, and
process.
DATCAP does a really good job, honestly, in enforcement too, but if they don't hear about it, they're not gonna come out and check, right? So all you have to do is send some emails and that inspector will be out there to.
And I do know they've inspected some throughout the city recently, so they do check on them. It's not just a poop, so.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's other Airbnbs in the town, but I'm assuming everyone here tonight is just for the one. So, you know, to start, I mean, we have a whole binder of ordinances, I mean, thick, you know, and one thing when you start adding and adding, getting to the enforcement level gets pretty difficult, especially for a small township. And if it's already being regulated by a bigger entity, which is a state in this case, it makes sense to go that direction first and see what kind of assistance you get there. That makes sense.
But this is the whole state of Wisconsin, our attorneys up there in Shawano. So we're not the only ones getting complaints. I mean, this, all over the state of Wisconsin since 2017 when this state, you know, they started doing these Airbnbs. And there are statutes that allow the towns to control them, but like I say, it's very limited control.
Would there be any personal property tax assessed on an Airbnb? No.
So there's no.
Doubtful, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, if they were turning it into an Airbnb, it's not like considered, it wouldn't be considered a residential property then, so then it would be considered a non-residential, so the tax rate would be a little different, correct? Kind of like if you do an out-of-state, if you have an out-of-state.
That's a tricky one.
You know, I mean.
Because that comes into play even with like the lottery credit, if this is not the person's primary residence.
Yeah.
And you're taking the lottery credit, you know,
Right.
that's not fair to.
Is it the individual's primary residence who rents it out?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then she gets the lottery credit. And
So, you know, I mean, maybe that would go back to the state and they'd have to have an ordinance on that. I don't know what.
Well, I think there's two decisions here. We can either table this or make a decision just to get in motion.
I do have a couple other questions.
Okay.
You stated that it's a private road.
Yeah, that was my
Yes.
thought.
And I guess I'm wondering, it looked like it was recently paved or finished or something.
Yes. and-
So how did you divvy up that? Do you have an HOA, homeowners association?
Not an official one.
That's too bad. Because you could do a lot with a homeowners association against Airbnbs. I think that would be the
So
better
would
route
we,
to
yeah.
take.
Okay,
But,
so-
okay, so you got this road, is it on everybody's deed that they have right-of-way access for the 6 properties?
And that house is on your road, it's not
Yes.
adjacent or on
Yes.
top of it, okay.
Each one has a right-of-way, further down, there's a right-of-way over the previous property. But technically, at the end, for instance, the first guy might have, the way I understand, a right-of-way over that. Would that make sense?
Yeah. I would make a suggestion, I don't know if you have an attorney that works with your neighborhood, but I would check with them to see if there's something you could do about the road legally and as a group, or create a small homeowners association with covenants, very few, limited covenants, file it at the Jefferson County Registry of Deeds and go that route. But, I mean, that's just another thing you could check on. I would motion to table this issue at this point until we hear back to see how they did with what's dead cap.
Yep. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries the table. All right, B, discussion or decision on the Swartzy driveway permit application variance for West 8424 Shore Rental Service.
Was it mine?
The count?
I grabbed my key fob.
No, it's not you, okay. Lights are in front.
Let's give them a second to go out, can we open some windows or something?
Something. Getting awful hot in there.
So, yeah.
There's a screen on there.
Anyone can reach the other one that's got the screen back there, we can open them up. It's gotta be cooler outside than it is in here.
That's why we need a new town hall.
Yeah, keep those windows closed.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that every summer.
It's a nice night.
So this was this variance was approved by the county.
Of the variance.
The variance was.
A variance for not having 66 feet of frontage on a public road. And the county granted that variance only for that. Had nothing to do with the driveway, just the frontage.
The question I had, I mean, Corey got back and there wasn't a whole lot of concern because of the in-depth engineering they had with that project. Using the Army Corps of Engineers and others. The culvert size, was that, I mean, when this all started going, was this at the old
This started
clause, when it was 12 inch, because we increased it to 15, that was one of the questions that I had.
It was always 15.
Right, yeah, the minimum was 15, but then the ordinance was changed that if there wasn't enough cover and the flow was low, you could go to a 12.
Okay.
But here, from what I can see, in the road right away, there's gonna be no culvert because it's relatively flat. I think, the thing you do need, to help out your neighbor is on the west side, I'm gonna call it west, the side of your driveway, you have to make sure that pitches back to the north. So, because I'm assuming your driveway is gonna be elevated a little bit, so it doesn't block the water, so that it may come down to the driveway, but then it heads to the north into the drainage ditch, and then through the culvert under your driveway, which is gonna be on your private property. So.
And that's the one that's 12 inches.
Okay.
I think that one is
12. That's the one by the retaining wall. It's 12 inches.
I thought that was supposed to be a bigger cement one, because that's gonna fill up with silt.
There's more than one there, correct?
Yeah, there are several,
Yes.
several inlets.
Right.
So the driveway is actually sloped towards the ribbon curb. So the property is facing away from the neighbor's property, is actually sloped towards the ribbon curb. Because that was one of the concerns that was brought in by the previous neighbor was water retention, water flow.
Right.
So a lot of engineering work was done to calculate what the water flow would be coming down the driveway. It actually pitches towards the ribbon curb. The ribbon curb has several inlets in it that take the water down through the cement storm that take it into the creek. So that has all been calculated throughout the whole driveway system there, as well as the water coming in from, I guess, the east, that would be the west, on that side of the driveway, to take that inlet that would be in through the retaining wall there.
Yeah, so that's like you stated, that was calculated for the 100-year storm.
Yep.
And Corey actually said that it has the capacity.
Yep.
To handle it. So.
Yeah, he just, yeah.
So that would be one of his concerns, Corey.
Corey being the town engineer.
Town engineer, sorry, town engineer. The other one is the grade 3-to-1 slope. But from reading through all this, it seems to me that was kind of approved by our town engineer back in 2020 when he was working with them. It says right here that right now the plan shows a 4-to-1 slopes per the ordinance. Town engineer was open to 3-to-1 slope as that would reduce wetland impact, as well as hopefully keeping all the grading work to my property, so I guess you wrote this, to not need a grading easement from my neighbor. And this was all approved by the city manager, the fire station signed off on the driveway turnouts, everything, so, and you worked with our town engineer, town chairperson for over a year, a long time.
Yeah, and Corey said it's okay, because I asked him about it
Okay.
again, and he said he was good with the slope, so.
And then the retaining walls, they were engineered by the engineer and stuff too, so I don't see an issue with that. I don't see an issue with anything. That's all. I don't even know why. I guess you're asking for a variance to clear it all up, so you can build your house.
That's correct, yes.
And so I guess the variance is for the slope and the culvert size.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask if you had any questions are answered?
In the drainage ditch, do you know what the culvert size is to the driveway to the east? That's bigger than 12.
I don't know what their culvert size is offhand. It would appear to be bigger than 12, I would agree with you, but I don't know if it's offhand.
Because I would assume, I have a personal stake in that.
Yeah, I know, you should probably step aside.
That would be the same size, you know, because I don't want water held back, it needs to be clean.
There's a question in the back.
Yeah, I can make a comment. My name is Jeff Hagan, I live on W8429 Sherwood Meadow Circle. So we're to the east or south, wherever you look at it, of the Schwartz property.
Right.
I did contact Corey today via email on these questions about the drainage into the culverts under the Schwartz driveway. And I did actually find the plans on the Jefferson County website. It looks to me like there's a fairly good sized inlet where there's a culvert that runs under the Wells driveway right next to it. It's kind of in alignment with it.
Right.
And it'll drain into those, the drainage in the driveway. So from what I can see from the plans, it looks okay, but they did have the same exact concerns. One question I have is it possible to get hard copies of the actual plans that you have? So you can review those?
They're pretty small, you can't even read them. I mean,
Yeah.
PDFs are the big magnifying glass.
Yeah, okay.
We've had water issues ever since we've lived there.
Yeah, we're kind of in the second lowest spot in that whole area,
Yeah.
so we're something, anytime there's any significant amount of rain. So our big concern is that it's gonna back up there, back into the property there, so.
Sure.
I think we need to explain that at that time, the town denied the variance, and the city, or the county approved the variance, and that's kind of
Not-
why we're in a conundrum.
Not this driveway
Not
variance.
this
There's
particular-
two different variances we're
Okay.
talking, you're confusing
Okay.
the zoning variance with the driveway variance.
Okay.
The zoning variance was town originally turned it down, 2-to-1 vote. Went to the county, they had the final say on it, they passed it. Then the Schwartzes came back and asked for the rezone to R1. Because the town held up the rezone until the variance was approved or denied. So then you had to come back and get the rezone for the lot. And that was passed. And it's kind of the history, but this started, I came on in 2019. This thing has been going on, I don't know when it
For a
started.
while.
For a while. 2018. And so I came in on the tail end of it. I know it sat, when I came on, it was, you first asked for R2 zone, rezone, and we said no. And then I think it sat for like 9 months. Sat for the town. You guys were working on it.
Yes.
Then you came back with the R1, and so that's when I kind of came involved again, so. But Dave would know more of the history.
No, that sounds about right. The other question, do you have the 401 water quality certification? From the
That was provided by the permit.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that was the only outstanding item, but it came from the DNR or somebody else.
You just want to quickly state which engineering firms that you worked with, because I know the effort was extensive, and I think it's good for people.
Associates out of Madison. They do extensive work throughout the whole upper Midwest, not usually on residential, usually on large commercial projects. I contacted them because I work with them from the business aspect, to work with them in that, but they do lots of civil engineering work for very large projects, large firms. They only did this for me out of the favor because of working with them. That's why the scope of the detail is there. Extensive time, materials, energy, money was put into the plans again in front of him.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you had to go through kind of an environmental corridor too, or something to get to where you're
Correct,
getting
yep.
to.
Department or the Army Corps of Engineers signed off on the permit of it. Wisconsin DNR signed off on the permit of it. Wetland delineation was done for the entire driveway as well as both sides where the house needs to be located at, which is plenty far away, but all that was done in due diligence.
Yeah, that's about as good as it gets, I think. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know. Did you have any other questions, unanswered questions?
Yeah, I mean, like I stated earlier, I'm just trying to get caught up to speed on the whole project. I'm obviously the new neighbor that my property runs along their property line. We share a property line, so I'm just trying to get up to speed and make sure that I'm not going to face water issues, or if there are water issues, what's going to be done about it.
You asked a question about managed forest land, I believe.
Yeah.
Your other.
Okay, so that one too. So the property, which was 76 acres originally purchased, was under managed forest land that expired as of December 31st, 2021. It has been enrolled, what I can enroll, which is 32.509 acres back in the managed forest land of the land that's left over. They are much more restrictive now. They do not put wetlands or any of that into managed forest land, so this is just a true what's hardwoods essentially on the property. So that is rolled back in for another 25 years, I believe it is, which will take effect as of January 1st, 2023.
How many acres was that again? That you
32.509.
And that's private forestry, right? It's not open
It is
to
private,
private.
not open.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
You get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the variance for the driveway permit for the 12-inch culvert and the 3-to-1 slope.
I'll second that. All in favor, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
So we'll put a letter together to put as with that permit and get Cory to sign off on the driveway permit with that letter attached. Is that right?
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, because they won't have to go to the county because
No.
that's
No,
driveway.
just at
That's
our-
not-
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Be in
Sure.
touch.
All right, item C, discussion or decision of park signage at Ferry Park for boat trailers.
I guess I have a comment about that. I didn't come here for this, I came here for the sunset earlier, and anything, but I am a boater. I do frequent the boat launch on Ferry Park Drive. And I know there's a post right in the front when you pull your boat out and there's no sign on it. And numerous times we go down to launch our boat, there'll be a car or two cars parked there. And recently, probably within the last couple years, You guys added some parallel parking along Lake Drive where you can probably park 3 cars, each one of those lots going back up the road. My personal preference would be the cars can park up there on the side, but leave that front space open for trailers to park in and out of there for access to the lake.
Can you say your name again?
Dan Renz?
So just to clarify that, you'd preferably like to see the boat trailer area in the flat part?
Correct, yeah, leave those 7 spots open right in the front there for boats only, and then have the cars park up on the side of the road where it's a lot easier and accessible to get a car in and out there instead of a trailer.
Gotcha.
And I've talked to numerous people coming in and out of the lake when I've been down there, and I guess this has been brought up before, and I guess it hasn't been done, so I was surprised to see it on the agenda here tonight.
I don't see Jason here either.
Didn't the Parks Committee have a recommendation on this?
They had a recommendation to approve it for 4 bumpered spots. Because you could put 5 trailers in the flat. There's people parking trailers in front of the AIS sign and
Yeah.
other places, but they're technically not, I mean, we don't have it posted or anything right now, and maybe it was at one time, but there hasn't been a sign there since I've been involved. But that's a cleaning station, it's not really a parking station, so to speak. The last spot they talked about and discussed and said that the last spot is close enough to Lake Lane, so like a kayak trailer is really feasible, but a boat trailer can tend to hang into the actual street. So depending on how people park, because there's really no slots on the gravel right now, but if there's bumpers, that helps organize it a little bit.
So what are the 2 going up the hill?
And then the
Along the
2
road.
flats going up the hill, they haven't made any decision whether that's vehicles or boat trailers, but there has been discussion that it's actually dangerous to be parking boat trailers on that hill just because they've been sliding off and it's hard to get out of there, and visibility's not good, and there's a lot of little kids and other people walking down the Lake Lane, so that's kind of the
My only question would be, how do you enforce that signage without an ordinance? I guess that would be my question.
Would one our ordinance that regulates the parking on roads, would it be added to that?
Well, Lake Lane isn't, that where he's talking is parking lot, not road. The 2 up, that go up the hill, yeah, they could.
Okay.
I'm just asking, maybe how does a
From an
police
enforcement-
officer write a ticket?
from an enforceable
Yeah,
standpoint.
I think it needs to be an ordinance, but, I don't know where you put it.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be
We'd
in
have to-
signage somewhere.
I don't know, how do we enforce parking at the county park?
County
Must
park
be.
parking?
Well,
Yeah.
there's parking, but
For
there's,
the boat launch.
I
there's,
think that was a county.
there's
No.
temporary
No.
parking spots, but that's, I mean, that's gotta be enforceable somehow. I don't know what to look, there's no, I mean, there's no like 15-minute parking or anything on them, so it's pretty vague, but
So we need to find where it fits
Yeah,
into our
right,
ordinance.
we need to
Yeah.
look at the ordinance and find where it fits.
Okay.
I agree.
okay.
So once we figure that out, then I'll come back.
No, we should probably table that and come back to it.
Can I make a motion to table this for further investigation on how to enforce it?
Any discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay, motion carries the table. Discussion or decision or recommendation for Mahala Channel as requested by the Joint Rock Lake Committee.
You did get that packet.
Yep.
There's a lot of detail in here. There's a page of background, things that you've heard many times before about, the need and the things that have been done in the past. The problem is the Majala Channel is filled with sediment that runs off from the tributary, and there's legacy phosphorus in there, which is not a good phosphorus. It's going to go into the lake because it's tied right to the sediment. And according to the different studies from the UW that was done in 2012, the Majala Channel and tributary is one of the largest parts of phosphorus levels in Rock Lake. Another problem is we have an approved permit for the dredging of the entire channel. This was obtained by West Dawson. Permit's good until June 2025, but in reality, since the dumping of the sediment can only be in the fall, the usable expiration date really is in the fall of 2024, because you can't do it in the spring, because farmers won't take, the farmer that we've worked with wouldn't take it, then they can't because they're planting. So, and you've heard before, finding grants for this type of a project is just not with the DNR. There's no way to get one from the DNR. So funding is an issue. And the Rock Lake Improvement Association and the Joint Rock Lake, both very committed to getting different projects done to make the lake better. We're just not always on the same page, but we're in the same book. So, and we're starting to try and work better together about what's going on. So our recommendation of a solution is that the Town of Lake Mills Board be responsible for dredging and maintaining the Majala Channel. The dredging of the entire channel as soon as possible. It's more important now that it be done sooner than later, as the tributary project that the RLIA was working on is now not going to happen, at least not in the very foreseeable future, as one of the residents on the tributary has decided they didn't want to partake in any of the more of the project. So the only part of the tributary project that has been done is the money granted for the practice evaluation plan. That's complete, and they've had the soil and water testing completed, which I think is part of that plan. But as far as going into developing an engineering or shovel-ready plan, they gave that money back to the DNR because they don't. There's no reason to create a plan that then they can't implement. So that's done.
I got a question on that, because this is the second time the RLA has approached that upper tributary, and it's the second time that they failed to accomplish it based on a landowner, or I think last time it was multiple landowners.
Yeah.
What they're not telling us is why. Like, what are the residents' concerns or whatever? And that's part of the concern I have with the RLIA doing things and not our committee, a government town-sponsored committee, actually asking residents those questions, because it's a lot more public, and at least you kind of know reasons why, you know, they don't want environmental improvement, so to speak.
It sounds like it isn't the fact that they aren't in favor of doing the environmental or correct thing. It's they feel, at least my understanding is, at least one of the residents has voiced, they have been harassed many times about signing this paper and why are you doing that and can we get this done? And I'm just making these up, but it sounds like harassment is the right word, and they don't want to be. Somebody from outside of the committee in the RLIA, who's in charge of the project, apparently went to the landowner and did something, they said something that just kind of pissed them off, and they don't want to participate anymore. So that's all I know.
I don't know if I buy that. I think that's a hard argument, but.
So we had direct communication from that landowner stating that verbatim. So that is why that landowner pulled out, and we asked him to reconsider, and asked to contact him, tried to remedy the situation, but have not heard any response from him. So
is that the county that contacted him or the RLIA? Who are you speaking for? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I work for the county, so I'm speaking for the county.
Okay.
And we're involved in that grant.
Right.
And we were contacted, the county and the RLA, by that landowner. And he no longer wishes to communicate with us. We haven't heard from him since.
But we don't know who it is. So there's obviously multiple residents on that upper chain.
One never participated. There's 4. One never participated. The second
From the start?
From the start.
Okay.
And we determined that we could go forward with the project without that landowner. But now that we have 2 pulled out, that's half of our project area. We can't restore half of a street bank.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, obviously that grant is public, I mean, everything is public about it. That, you know, so obviously if you're working with landowners, that's public information as well. I was just curious, because it just seems like an odd reason to me.
For what?
For pulling out because somebody wanted them to sign something or whatever.
Well, we're not.
It means they were
Without access to his property.
right, but it means that they were uncomfortable signing something because maybe they didn't understand something or what. There's always a reason why they're not going to sign it. But
Well, because they've endured continued harassment by people outside the project. Is the reason they've given us.
And that's the same story I've heard since I've lived out in
yeah, I
the
mean
area.
that's been going on for
Yeah. So
10+ years now, which is really unfortunate because you're not solving the problem.
Right, yeah, exactly.
right.
We can go and spend
Sweep in the back, that's it.
$500,000 and stuff's going to be right back in there.
Right, which is why we're not continuing.
RLIA is the only body that's really done anything towards trying to get this project going. So what, you know, I mean, there's nobody else that's done that. And over the length of the project, which has been quite a while, multiple landowners have been in or out. It's not just this one person now. It's another person. Some other people were not involved but now want to be on board. In this situation, we finally got 4 people that we could put together the project. And at the meeting that we were going to have to talk about it with the landowners, Susan Tier told us that he'd been contacted from somebody outside of the project and he no longer was going to work with us.
So, another question is, do you need every landowner to participate? Is there a plan B to resolve 80% of the issue or 75% of the issue? From an engineering standpoint?
No. The entire north side of the street main for the entire project area is not accessible to us.
But the county, who now owns a large portion of it because of Court Park, is basically on board.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we were very close. You know, Hope and I have been involved in this from the very beginning, and this was the one time where everybody had agreed to show up, and then at that meeting we find out that this guy's backed out.
Yep.
But there's another landowner who, you know, I had heard he was not interested in becoming involved because, well, this has been going on for 20 years. Well, I don't think it's been 20 years. It's been going on for quite a while, but that's not a very good excuse to not want to participate.
Right. I didn't know, maybe because sometimes it's financial reasons, because there's matches and things like that when you start meddling with property and things like that. But
In all of the times that we've had discussions, I've never heard a landowner say, well, I'll sell it to you, or no, it's going to cost me. You know, there's maintenance concerns and how to maintain going forward, but there's never been this need for buying my property or anything like that.
Gotcha. Another question I have is, how does that's Pat, right?
Yep.
Yep. I'm good at remembering names. Do you know how the city handles their dredging? How does that, who pays for that when they do the mill pond? And
Yeah, I really don't. Be happy to look into that for you if you like, Fred.
I'm just curious who pays for it. I'm assuming the city pays. They have their own dredging machine, but I don't know if it would work in our channel or not.
I think they said they were going after a grant to do the mill pond. I'm pretty sure they said that.
I've had several conversations with Dan Drescher over the mill pond and the dredging of the mill pond. And Dan said to me, the tool that needs to be used in this case is a special assessment. And that's how they would handle the mill pond, is with a special assessment. Now, we've discussed that in the town of Lake Mills, and they have applied a special assessment to this area before for this kind of opportunity, to dredge or to improve this. That's the tool in the toolbox. The devil is in the details. These two ladies will tell you that's not acceptable to them. But other communities have used special assessments in order to be a tool to do the kind of work that you want to have done.
I see you have some
So-
funding recommendations here.
Yes, yeah, the time that I'll get to the funding recommendations is, and the one we'd like to make a recommendation on, at least hopefully we could start, that the town board, we recommend the town board to create a special projects funding committee to solicit donations, with the number one project being the Majala Channel dredging and turbidity curtain updates. And other recommendations would use town funds, maybe use some road money to dredge the part closest to Cedar Lane, though it has to be one project, so use budget money, fundraising money. In the ARPA funds, I am still trying to understand if we can use that or not. So with that respect, let me do the budget stuff a little bit. We may or may not need, on the budget page, says sediment evaluation. I'm not sure if we need that. The company that has given us the $300,000 bid would like to do that, but that would, if we hired them, then that would go back in to be refunded as part of the project. But I do have another.
What would that involve?
What would
Just
involve?
sediment evaluation, you're just looking for the oil sample?
It's seeing exactly if 3 feet of sediment for the whole 825 feet is the right amount, because they charge per cubic foot of sediment.
The entire channel with a stick and push it down through the sediment and measure the depth of the sediment to try to get an idea of the mass of sediment that we need to be removed.
Skip that one. Just say it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So would that start at the channel, or would that actually would go out into the lake to create a cleaner, deeper channel out into the lake?
Well, the channel has a depth, I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Yeah, and you'd be able to tell by the stick.
Because it goes down to
gets hard and
it's all
firm.
sand, yeah,
Yeah.
on the bottom. And I think it's between 6 and 8 feet deep, the channel.
But how far would they go out?
Toward, into the lake, close to the
To the end, well, this project is 825 feet long, so I think they measured to where the channel drains into the lake. So we could, and you know, probably at that end, there's 6 inches of sediment. Well, back by Cedar Lane, there's probably 6 feet of sediment.
Maybe.
Maybe more.
That's how much is carried out.
Maybe more.
I would
Maybe
think
more
the
in the lake
area
now.
is specified in the permit that they have. I'm sure it defines the area that the permit is for.
Right.
Yeah, and I have a copy of that too. So with this, you know, and then the budget would have to have some sort of maintenance of the Majala Channel. The thought process is if the whole thing got dredged and it kept being maintained between Cedar Lane and the turbidity curtain, that's a much less expensive project because you can reach it with a backhoe and just take it from the road and into wherever you're gonna dump it, versus right now the project is, you know, a barge with equipment or otherwise. What I did want to say is I do have another estimate coming. It's been difficult getting a hold of people, but thanks to Tom, he gave me a recommendation. I did get a hold of another person who actually returned my calls, and they're gonna get another estimate to us probably this week. He said 2 or 3 days. So I gave them all the information they needed and the copy of the permit, so they knew exactly what the project was about.
So when the turbidity
Turbidity.
curtain was put in there to stop the sediment from going any further than the curtain, and that hasn't worked. So does that mean the curtain has not been maintained, or because it was cleaned out a couple different times? And, you know, so you're saying that that's gonna work, but I'm saying what I see it as.
Well, what's the turbidity curtain, from my understanding, did work in the beginning until it got overwhelmed, and then it had been dredged several times. I'm gonna say maybe even 6 or 8 times.
It got dredged
Just
in
Well, the channel did, but
the
behind
area
the curtain
between,
has been dredged. a
yeah,
couple
behind the
different
curtain.
times.
The whole channel, I think, has been dredged at least once.
Yeah, once, and I
but
think
several-
Jim, you were
Yeah.
chair then, I think?
No, I wasn't chair, but I was on the board. I think
Yeah.
Wayne Martin was chair.
Right, because I came on and we were doing the special assessments.
But I
before
finished
selling
up, he was on
properties.
for 4 years, I finished up.
Right.
And we finally got it taken care of, which was a disaster for these people, bookkeeping and.
We're basically being
Because every
the
time
accountants for the
a property
owners.
sold, that loan had to be paid off for that portion. And they had it was a nightmare.
The whole-
Not doing that again.
The whole thing is very complicated because of numerous people
Correct.
moving in and out, and also the idea that now it's beyond control of just the residents living there. It affects the whole lake, but you're talking about probably at least a $300,000 project, and that doesn't include repairing the turbidity curtain, which needs repaired.
It's darn near our entire annual budget.
And so what we'd like to do is,
Is that a recent figure? I mean, I'm just,
the 300, yes, I have a copy of that too.
yeah, because I don't know about that business, but I will say something about the contract business, because I saw it on a different committee I served on. Everything is super overinflated right now.
They said that everything's.
To the point where they're cherry picking these jobs, and they're, I mean, yeah, the project in that case was like 100,000 over. I mean, 3 times what it should have cost.
Well, 2 years ago, they
So-
stated it was 150,000, so
Yeah, but-
that's what was told.
I only have.
Board then.
I didn't have any copies of
Now
this.
it's
This was the original estimate. It was $271,684 for the whole channel. And then they just updated it on an email saying, at current rate now, it's gonna cost more, which is $300,000. $80 per cubic yard of sediment. So what we would like to propose tonight is that, I'm gonna get the right paper here. Is, on behalf of the Joint Rock Lake Committee, I would like to propose or recommend that we have permission to begin fundraising for the preservation and improvement of Rock Lake, which would include dredging the Majala Channel. This could be done through a subcommittee of the Joint Rock Lake Committee or something else that you might recommend. Fundraising opportunities include the monthly roundup at the Lake Mills Market, sending out letters to local businesses with donation cards through mail or email, and creating a convenient donate now button on your website. So the idea would be,
We'd have to check
Be
with
careful.
legal. Yeah, we have to check with legal on that.
Yeah, just to make sure it's done correctly.
Yeah.
as far as doing
The
the
button.
solicitation?
Right.
Or the button?
Yeah.
Or both?
The
Make sure it's
fundraiser
done
button.
correct, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay, because, you know, we're ready to move on starting fundraising, but we need permission to do it. Matter of fact, Trish has all the paperwork filled out for the Lake Mills Market already.
I also looked at your time frame, and I'm glad you guys came up with some of this stuff, obviously.
Well, we had,
You know, it's
we have to
from a
start
planning-
we have to start somewhere.
From a planning aspect, but I mean, obviously, the town didn't, as of last year, we didn't budget anything to do anything for 2022. So I mean, there's October dredge 2022, that's obviously not gonna happen. The other question I have is, the permit was not, it wasn't pulled by the township, it was pulled by an individual.
It was pulled by Wes,
By Wes, so by an
yeah, Wes
individual.
Dawson.
Is it transferable?
Is it transferable to town, and say the town board, you know, say theoretically the town board says we're gonna clean up to the curtain, you know, both sides in the town right away or whatever. Can we do that without obtaining another permit? Or would that be included on the same one, and do you have to do it all at the same time?
Well, so
Because I know the county made a recommendation to do at least that portion, and get that done as soon as possible, but,
the part by the,
yeah.
yeah.
By the clerk, so.
My understanding is it's not transferable, except, and I don't know what that means. If Wes can say, I'm on my behalf, you're gonna do it. I don't know if that works, so I'll have to find that out for you. And it's a one-time use permit. So that, to me, that means you gotta do it all at one time.
Which would make sense, because you're disrupting and disturbing sediment and water.
Yeah, and I can send this to Robin, but I do have a copy of the permit that.
And you said that permit ends in 24, end of 25?
Well, it ends in officially in June of 2025.
Okay.
But usable really till the fall of 2024, because it has to be a fall project. I'll just set this out, but I'll send this to you in a text or an email too.
I may
But
have
this
it,
is
but
the
it'd
permit.
always be good to have it again.
Who wants to look at it?
One concern I would have, if you guys are doing additional meetings and such, we've got to make sure we have them posted. It's a lot more work, so as much as we can streamline some of that work, if this moves forward, we need to consider doing that.
Special, yes.
It's a lot of work.
You're keeping me in line. Good thing.
I got a question. In 98, that's when the entire channel was dredged. 6,000, this is from Patricia's.
Sure.
In 2005, Cedar Lane backhoe dredged 500 cubic yards. 2009, it was dredged again to the turbidity curtain was placed in. 2011, 14, and 16, it was dredged. Who paid for the dredging those times?
The residents, excuse me, the residents,
Residents.
as I understand it, yeah. And I don't know that everybody participated, which is another issue, because there's at least 2 or 3 that don't want to even talk about it, so.
Can you clarify which side of the curtain that was on? Was that on their side of the curtain or the town side?
That was Cedar Lane, it says. Town side. Yep, town side, from the turbidity curtain to the road.
And that was
Yeah,
in
and-
2009, 2011, both?
And then
9,
the-
11, 14, and 16.
And then the next year, the year it was gonna get done, I think it was in 2020, it was after I moved in. The money was already set aside and to do with that end again, but then the weather didn't cooperate and we couldn't get it done, so it didn't get done and now it got worse.
But then the town stabilized the bank in, when was that, Hope? 2020?
Couple years ago.
Couple years ago.
Stabilized.
2021.
Yeah.
2021. We didn't do any dredging, but we stabilized the bank and rip-wrapped and. But that was done, was that a new permit or was that done on Wes Dawson's permit?
It was originally intended to include Wes's property,
Oh.
but at that time, he had decided that he was washing his hands of the project, and we used the granted money that came through the county with the design that we had from the USDA to do just the mouth of the channel in the right of way.
Okay, so that was a grant, okay. Thank you. Well, I guess I kind of agree with Dave. Until that upper ditch is stabilized, I just don't see any benefit to dredge that channel. I can see doing through the turbidity curtain, but beyond that, until that whole bank is stabilized and that's done right, it's just gonna keep
Piling in.
flowing in there. It's waste of money. So to fundraise to dredge that channel, I think it's way too early. I mean, you could be fundraising for 10 years until you get property owners that want to comply on that side of the road. That's one of the big problems I have with it.
Well, again, this,
But if the town would do the turbidity and restore the turbidity curtain, then we're gonna be doing it every 2 years, cleaning that up.
Actually, Jim, I think it's gonna have to be done on an as-needed basis, because you already said that it was overwhelmed. Well, you have to catch it right before that, or right when that happens, otherwise it's.
it has a lot to do with Mother Nature. The more
Exactly.
rain, the more runoff.
And that's where you have to be a shoemaker and do it when it needs to be done, not on a schedule.
Yeah, I think that's how I put it in the plan, that would have to be on an annual review process to do that.
Okay, the channel was created in 1957. Anybody here know what it was like before the channel was put in there?
It was the same as it was upstream.
Just a stream through
Like
there.
2.5
What if we
feet
let
wide,
it,
6
what if it let it go back to that? And lowered their taxes?
You have to lower their taxes, that would be the catch-all.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I
You don't
believe
have
that's
that-
already been taken into consideration, hasn't it, Jim, by our assessor?
Yep.
If they assume that because of their limited
Well-
access?
Well, yeah, it's, a portion of it has come. But I'm saying if that
No
reverted back
access.
to just a stream through there, then they no longer have any lake frontage. And it's-
And then their
And
assessment
even if
would
the
reflect
project
that.
upstream was completed and it went perfectly, it's a man-made channel. So you're going to dredge forever. What this project upstream would accomplish would dramatically reduce the amount of
Correct,
frequency
right,
you're dredging.
yeah.
But you're always gonna have to dredge because it's man-made, like you said, it wants to go back to what it was.
Could I make another
I know that's gonna
comment?
make 10 people very unhappy, but, well, maybe not 10, 7.
I'm here as a joint rock lake committee.
Could I make another comment? It seems to me that the Joint Rock Lake Committee recommendation has not really partnered with RLIA. RLIA would be a 501c3 that would already have a process in place to accept donations. And I think you need, if you're going to raise money that way, you need to partner with them. I'm going to say again, I think the best way to handle this is by special assessment for those people who are going to get the most bang for their buck out of what the town does.
Should be the whole lake.
I, as a citizen of that part of the world, I don't feel that you can take from Peter to pay Paul to do that channel project. That group of citizens over those last 20 years mounted all the impetus to get that dredging done. I think that's really an amazing thing that they have taken on. But now there's another whole group of homeowners and they are not willing to participate or to work with Wes as they did before. So now we're at an impasse. We need to have tools in the toolbox to deal with this, but without cooperation, it's just not going to happen. I know it's a very frustrating situation for all of us, but it seems like there's been a lot of hard feelings, some sabotage, some people not willing to go with it because they're afraid of what the recommendations might be and how it might affect them. I also think there's a great deal of apathy on the part of our neighbors who don't see anything wrong with it. It's not their problem. Water flows over there. It doesn't affect their property values. So it's a very difficult situation. But in order to work on this, we need to work together with those groups. You have to agree that the 501(c) is the vehicle to do any kind of fundraising.
Well, we do have an ordinance now, just so, I don't know if you're aware of that, but we do have the donation gift ordinance. We
Gift
just
and
have to make
memorial
sure we
policy.
handle it correctly, so
Yep.
Which
maybe
was
that's
what-
the same.
Which is what our group was kind of playing off of.
Yeah, it's just gonna be an investigation, and like I said, through legal.
Is that the role the town board or the town parks committee or the town lake committee wants to have? I'm not sure about that.
I'm not either.
I,
I
as
don't
a
think we
citizen-
want to be fundraising for a dredging of a channel that's serving 10 property owners, and that's it. I mean, you people that live there say it's for the benefit of the lake, yeah.
Well, the reports do say that the
Nobody
phosphorus is flowing into
nobody
the
has
lake.
to come up that channel. They don't, if they don't live there, they don't have to come there, period. I know the phosphorus is going in there and stuff, but you're not gonna stop that with dredging. It's just gonna keep going. It's benefiting 10 property owners, that's it.
Do you know how the city does their fundraising? Is that through other organizations typically?
I'd much
I would
rather
assume it
just lower
probably
tax.
is, but I don't know that for a fact.
The upstream project actually had benefits to lock up phosphorus in the sediment because the plan was this two-stage ditch which allows it to kind of overflow. And I mean,
Right, but that's
the
not
place-
gonna happen.
That's the place where this thing really needs to
It's not
Yeah,
with the current
right.
landowners.
If that doesn't happen, then there's no sense in doing anything downstream.
The
That's
only-
my opinion.
Yeah, the only question I have, the only last question I have is, in the town right away, we have a road that goes through there. Is it an obligation for us to protect that culvert and make sure that that's, obviously that area is kind of clean?
Yeah, we gotta keep
'Cause
water flowing through there, we can't let it back up.
So I would think that that part is that small part is our obligation.
But you can do that with just digging a 5-foot
Yeah,
trench.
no. But anytime you dig into that thing, I'm sure there's some kind of permitting process.
Well,
This
Okay,
stream
so-
has through that sediment on both sides, you know, so.
There's always been a permit pulled for that dredging from up to the turbidity curtain.
Yeah, I would think that's kind of a separate animal.
But that's beyond the road right of way to go to the curtain though, is it not?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the curtain's further down, but yeah, you get 100-year flood and with all that going on, you could lose your road pretty quickly. So hope that doesn't happen.
I know in the winter, well, a couple of years ago when we were out there was no water on that end. There was just a mountain of dirt you could really see. That's the time to dig that thing. And November, December, when the water's not flowing, it's frozen upstream. That's your best shot then. So why don't we look at it in this fall?
At least doing that.
On our road tour.
It's similar
Take
to
a road
doing that
tour
part,
later.
yeah.
Or just have a special meeting out there later on in the year. And then, I don't know if you have a real price to dredge, or maybe we can get that. We can do that.
The price to dredge just up to the turbidity curtain?
Yeah.
If you use the company that I gave you information on, they have a price, but it would be double, is what she said. They doubled them.
That's not the figure that's in here.
There's two figures in there.
There's a $6,000.
$6,000 one in here.
No, not in the budget, that's in the, that would be ongoing, right now it's worse than that. So in, the one that had the two prices on it. This one. So this was just stage one, which I think only went to the turbidity curtain. I have to read it. 40 feet, yeah, that's the turbidity curtain.
How far in the tree?
Is it $121,000?
Wait, I lied.
That doesn't sound right.
This is a mechanical remover of 5 feet of sediment from the channel. The work is 320,
That curtain's not that
it's
far.
up to the corner. That would be up to the corner where it turns, like all in front of Wes's property. Yeah, the turbidity curtain, I think it was going to be close to $10,000 last time we were gonna do it.
Just up to that curtain.
Just the curtain.
Yeah.
Is that just dredging, not replacing the curtain?
Right.
Yeah, again, I guess the curtain's probably gone.
Well, we don't know, we haven't really
Mess. We're a
investigated
mess.
it. My understanding is part of it was metal, so maybe the metal part's still there, but all of the upper parts and the fabric and stuff that was put there is pretty much know is gone. So what do you want me to take back to the committee?
Do you guys want to entertain a price to dredge that or not? I mean, that's just
Maybe
hands off.
get an updated estimate for you.
We didn't want to do that, I guess.
Well, I think the town right away we should address. I mean, at least get a price on it and get an estimate and see what that might run.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion that the town board get an estimate to dredge the town right away from Cedar Lane into the channel.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
And then I'll make a motion to table the rest of it until the indefinitely.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on. Discussion or decision of recommendation for Water Patrol to speak at the annual RLI meeting August 27th as requested by the Joint Rock Lake Committee.
And the Joint Rock Lake Committee approved that, would like you to approve that recommendation, that they do have a water patrol. It was a unanimous vote.
Okay.
So should we?
I'm good with that as long as they're able to make it, because there's part-time.
Yeah, that was also put in, I mean, that
Okay,
is
all right.
part of it. If they can't make it, they can't make it, but.
Yep.
Because there could always be something, right? So then I'll tell the RLIA that that's fine,
We
and
gotta
they'll.
make a motion on that.
Yeah, we just need to make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to allow the water patrol to speak at the annual RLIA meeting.
Second.
August 27th.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Discussion or decision or recommendation regarding AIS Citizens Monitoring Group. It sounds like you guys have more work to do on that one.
Yeah, that you can table, because we have more work to do on it.
Motion to table.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries to table that. Discussion or decision of claim of previously incomplete road repair work, cleanup pea gravel done on Short Hills Road, when pea gravel was laid a few years ago. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, gentlemen, but.
Well, Dave's the only one with the history on it.
You know, we'd have to look at the video to see exactly where they're gonna warranty their work. I know that they had talked about doing the cleanup for free, but it obviously was, you know, late in the year, it got cool.
Was it verbal or documented?
That you'd have to talk to Hope about.
That's gonna be the big
I
question.
did forward the link to that video, Dave, in your emails, that you have the link to that video,
Oh,
just so
okay.
you know.
I was low on data, I couldn't open it.
I mean, even on verbal on the video, it was, at least the minutes I saw, you guys were talking.
Sure.
And, but that's not a document furnished by the company saying that they're gonna work.
Right,
they're gonna
yeah.
work. So if you don't have that,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
That, you know, Hope, I'm not to throw her under the bus or anything like that, but that was, you know, she worked with Scott's, so I don't.
19, 20, I mean, it should have been done long.
Oh, the very next summer, it should have been done.
Yeah, and again, the warranties, they may only be good for 6 months, a year. They're probably not good for more than a year. I would
Yeah, it's a
expect.
workmanship thing.
Yeah.
So,
and then the only other thing I'll say, just that whole process of seal coating a road, pea gravel, I mean, typically, loose pea gravel is put on, they usually put on excess pea gravel. And I know we just did it not too long ago on Ellie Road. You know, in that case, it's out in the country, so.
and we did not sweep.
And we did not sweep, so I mean, there could have been a decision not to sweep at all anyway. So, there's some unknowns there, but again, I think, and I mean, we can take a look at Scott's warranty, but I'm guessing it's long past due. We're never gonna, you'll never be able to legally get them
It
to.
wasn't our decision to let it go. We were told by the town chairperson that it would be taken care of.
Yeah.
Well,
But once again, that might not even have been in the contract. Because sweeping is typically extra in a contract, and if that's not approved, then.
but even, you know, I mean, everybody there, we're not talking just a little amount of pea gravel. We're talking real barrels full of pea gravel.
That's typical of a seal coat. You go on some of these, go to Alley Road, when they did Alley Road, there's more than wheelbarrows. It's a lot. They put a lot of pea gravel on it, because they want to make sure they get good coverage on top of the tar. And they let the traffic usually burn it down. I mean, that's usually that's just kind of the road maintenance process. I mean, that's just how things are done in almost every municipality.
Are you saying it's still there, the pea gravel?
Oh, gosh. Oh,
I don't remember.
I don't either. We did road tour.
Yeah, I guess it's something else for us to look at.
Yeah, we can look at it in our fall road tour.
Yeah.
But and then the last thing I'll mention is, because we did sweep around this spring, and it hadn't been done in a lot of years. And it actually did a pretty good job on the sand and some stuff, you know, the smaller particles. But when you started getting into those bigger sized particles, it takes a lot to get that out of there. And I mean, I'm talking 3 to 5 times the sweeping. It's a lot. You know, so the price is usually exponential on it. You know, and unfortunately with our road budgets, you know, it's one of our largest expenses, and you don't get very much done for the amount of money that you pay out for it, that's for sure. And that's not going down, that price, it's being inflated now because of the infrastructure.
The roads weren't that bad to pea gravel in the first place. And if you watch the video, those of us that talked about it, the road was actually better before they pea graveled it. It wasn't immediate.
I don't know, because I wasn't on the board.
Right.
But we did last fall, and just so you're aware, we had our town engineer professionally do all our roads from a rating standpoint. So going forward, we have a really good plan, really good idea, and we circle back to him because we want to get the best bang for our buck to group things together with contractors. But also, we don't want to be doing things to our roads like doing seal coating too early and things like that. And that's a professional dealing with it, not Tom Deacle dealing with it, that I took the course and everything, but I'm not a road expert. Not unless I've been doing it as long as those guys have been doing it, so. So we did do that, and it's a little bit of confidence that going forward, we have a really good plan in place, so.
Good, thank you.
You bet. You want to table this to a road tour?
Yeah, I make a motion that we table this for our fall road tour, and we'll look at it.
Very.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Table. Discussion or decision of road signage projects.
I had this one put on, you already mentioned the not a through street on Dolores Lane, so that's in the works.
Yep.
The 3 signs at Mud Lake Road, Bean Lake Road, Hope Lake Road,
I'm working on those.
you're working on those.
One of them is bent. You told me about the bent one.
That's a different sign. You're talking about the
Yeah, okay.
launch information, or the ordinance information on those,
I was
right?
gonna try to restore that one, the rubber hammer. We'll see how that goes.
Those 3 were the ones that you're talking about, the ordinances, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and then there's another one out here on on 8, that little parking lot where they put in their canoes or kayaks into,
There's one the same as these 3?
no, it's a
Oh.
there's different wording on it, but you can't hardly read it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't even know what it said. I know I had those made when I was on the board.
And I checked with Lanes, and they were not the ones that made them originally, because
They
they
weren't?
look back. Yeah, so we're having to recreate it all
Okay.
together.
Then you're working on the no parking sign at Ferry Park, or the parking signs. The only other one I have is the,
Which we didn't decide on because.
no, your Parks Committee is working on it.
That's where.
It's on my list. But then the other one is the Crossman Road. I guess we'd always talked about putting a sign out there that said all trucks need to go to south to County Trunk A instead of going south on Crossman Road.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we have never talked about it at this board, with this board. We kicked it around when Hope was.
Hope was up.
So I guess I would like to
Well, I mean,
look into that one.
Yeah, we could do that, and at least we did due diligence if that's the case. And
Yeah, because
still
we get
won't pass it. It's-
people call, not all the time, but they were calling quite a bit, probably because County Trunk A was.
Right, yeah, because that was a designated route for.
Yeah, which they couldn't
Well,
have
this
went.
was prior to that
Yeah,
intersection being changed, too.
And you have farmland on there too, so there's gonna be some usage. I mean, they won't be able to get away from total.
No,
Yeah.
but if there was a sign,
there
a
is
couple
some-
signs there that said, when they pulled out of that driveway onto Crossman Road, it said all trucks must head north
Yeah.
to County Trunk A.
There is a lot of through traffic on there, because I think it's a lot of GPS fast route. They'll go and out of Bigelow, which really to me is silly, but they follow that. And it's not exactly a big wide road.
So would that be considered a truck route?
Well, the only problem that I see with it is, other than March and April, it's a Class A highway.
Right.
So it's really not illegal for them to run that road. Now, we could suggest a sign that says road traffic north to Highway A, which would be a wise choice anyway.
But we did it on Hope Lake Road, the gravel pit.
Yep.
That's in the ordinance, it says they gotta go, and they can be
Bigelow.
ticketed. They can be ticketed if they go the other direction.
Yeah.
So, and that's a Class A highway all year round. So why can't we do it on Crossman?
I will say it would be nice to preserve
Oh, I
Lake
agree.
as long as we can.
Yeah, she's-
So,
And
I mean, it
also
would make
preserve-
total sense to do it.
Also preserve Highway 8, or Crossman Road, because it's brand new.
Yeah, the longer
So we
portion.
would need to add it to an ordinance
Yeah,
and then get
in
the
our
sign.
highway ordinance. some language put.
What was the
together.
sign, what was
Yeah.
the sign we were talking about?
Find where it
before
should
that?
be plugged in and
It's a
stuff.
ferry park.
Oh, the freak, okay. Got
So
it.
I'm working on all those other ordinances too, so a little help would be good on that.
We need a
That's all
motion-
I had.
Motion to table, you mean, or what do I need?
No, I don't know, discussion.
Discussion,
Yeah.
okay. Discussion or decision of possible change to the Cambridge EMS service for the area, for the town of Lake Mills residents. I think, well, we were all at that meeting. Cambridge, and Jim brought up a great point of trying to figure out what percentage of the township do you think, we should logistically have them cover, from a percentage standpoint to try to get a little better estimation on fees, so to speak. Right. So,
Cambridge said they can handle the entire town except for north of the interstate. And do it in 12 minutes, which is acceptable levels by the state licensing board, right?
Right, yep, correct.
we got rural
Paul,
standards too.
But what makes more sense to me is not go quite that far.
yeah,
And I just, they could cover all the way to Hope Lake Road, all the way to G. But Mud Lake Road, I think, would go to the city or someone else would have to, it's just, doesn't seem feasible that Cambridge is gonna cover a house right up here on the fire station. So anyway, that one, then of course out where I live, north of the interstate, that, it's not feasible, they said. Well, they could, if they park an ambulance in the town of Lake Mills.
right, yeah, and Paul, he had also called me today and said that they are more than willing to have a chase vehicle. And then, if Lake Mills Fire, if they're gonna be basic, and they would be able to, take care of the first aid, initial first aid. So he's still saying it's doable, but I agree, Jim, I think it's a little far away.
And then I think the other cutoff I would do is Rock Lake Road. I would have Cambridge cover up Shorewood Hills area all the way to B. But then from that point.
Going to
in-
Shore Acres, or not Shore
Yeah,
Acres.
that Shore Acres, Highland.
Cemetery, all those.
All those would be someone else, city probably.
City.
So for estimating purposes, for Cambridge, so we can get a price per capita from them, so we know what we're talking about, I think that would be the territory. I would recommend, then we have to get a population. I don't know how we
How
do
hard
it.
would that be to do, Robin, to?
It takes a little time, because I gotta go on the census maps and
So our-
How are
go
you-
one census plat at a time, yeah.
Okay. So I think we have to have a simple line, so it's like, so you're thinking Highway B rather than the interstate?
That, and you have to understand the census blocks don't follow the roads.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, you're not gonna have a real clear line of,
It wasn't Shore Acres, it was another one I was thinking of. Off of Rock Lake Road, it's,
North Shore?
North Shore.
Yeah, this whole triangle would be
Yeah.
someone else, all the way Highland, Shore Acres.
That makes sense,
Sunset,
yeah.
all that. But that would be to Rock Lake Road.
Because you got
To
Maple
the-
Lane, you got then
Yeah.
up by you, and
And then this portion here, on this, down out.
that furthest that way, yeah.
Would be
it
that
might actually be
block.
quicker to figure out the northern area's population than it
And
is the
subtract
southern.
from 1938.
Well, 20.
Or
That's
20
true.
Yeah, we have a new population
15
among,
or whatever
yeah,
it is.
it's over 2,000 now, so.
Yeah, it's 2,200.
Yeah, there is, but Cambridge already has a section, so.
Correct.
Lake Mills EMS is 1938.
Right, yeah,
Okay, you're right,
Yeah.
you're right.
which probably is gonna change because we do have a new population number, so.
Okay.
Sort of back.
What do
on
you
that
think the
point.
rough estimate is at by percentage?
This estimate?
I mean, right now, we
300.
need to get some figures.
300.
So they're going by,
Being
by
exact.
per capita, not,
Haven't been
not
decided
by
yet.
percentage area.
It could be.
It hasn't been, or equalized, it hasn't been decided yet, so that we don't know.
I would lean more towards per capita because I think it's easier to figure.
That's what we've been using, and that's what everyone's
Because the
using.
fire works off equalized value, but there's a fire district, which is a line in the sand, where this is a little bit different.
I would say that's 200 people.
Roughly.
Easier to see a rough guess. So you're down to 1,700.
1,700 people.
See, the assessed value is easier to get in general for an area because I can have the county map that out and find out what that grouping of property is assessed at.
But the city's gonna do their numbers per capita, and so you gotta have comparable.
I'm guessing, though, like, if we were plus or minus 25 people, 50 people, is that really gonna change the per capita?
No.
That's why I was wondering if we just
Well,
can't kind
you
of
said the
estimate
Short Hills
percentage.
area would go to Cambridge, so that's gonna be the biggest chunk right there. It's gonna be almost a flip-flop to some extent.
I have a question. When you say 12 minutes, that can't be to that number cannot apply to every single residence. Like we live on Elm Point Road, I have a hard time thinking that they could get to our place in 12 minutes.
They will.
They
said
will.
They will.
Yeah.
They ran them. They ran
The times already. But bear in mind, and this is a crystal ball, right? We're talking about these times, but remember there's weather involved, there could be an accident involved, traffic, there could be all kinds of things involved that affect that time. That's just in a perfect, all those times are in a perfect world. Like everything goes just right, so.
For either service.
For either service, it doesn't matter, yeah. Because I mean, I know how long it takes Lake Mills EMS to come out to the Short Hills neighborhood, and it's doesn't happen fast. I mean, it's.
Cambridge is on site. They're full-time.
Yep, full-time.
They're paramedic service, not just basic or, what's the other one that?
Advanced EMS.
Advanced, yep. Lake Mills, I think, is advanced now.
Yeah.
But if they go to the fire station, you're probably gonna be less than
Basic.
Yeah, be basic.
Cambridge is gonna be, the paramedic grade.
Yeah, they're guaranteeing a paramedic service.
Paramedic service.
And
Which is the best. I mean, it's top.
Their response time in daylight is 1 minute, and night is 3, leaving the door. Because again, they have to leave the apartment, run across the street to get into the fire station. So hopefully by purchasing that house that's right off the parking lot, we can cut that nighttime in half. And it also will be a safety measure for the paramedics, so.
The other thing we have to weigh, and this is gonna be, these are all difficult decisions, is whatever happens with the city portion, say it gets combined or whatever, that's not gonna happen overnight.
Right.
That's gonna take a while to build that thing, so the service, once again, when you start talking about run times and things like that, there's gonna be some question marks, because it's gonna take some time to build up the people and staff and personnel that they need, unless they go full board right away, but that cost is gonna be huge. I mean, those figures are massive right now, so.
And that's where it has to go, Tom. At the end of the day, that's where it has to go.
Well,
So do you wanna,
I think we should just get some kind of.
you wanna go with this area, or do you wanna tweak it, or?
Oh, I think
And then-
that makes sense.
I think it's
Just start with Cambridge and
Yeah.
give them this, and then,
Yep.
tell them 1,700 people.
Or 1650.
Or whatever you want.
Conservative.
It's just a number.
Yeah.
And then-
Yeah, right now, it's just to get some kind of
Right.
ballpark, yeah.
I don't know how you copy that. Can you scan it?
Not something that big. I could-
No, just this area.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
you
that
have to-
area I could.
Okay, we need a motion.
So the green area
Yeah, can
is
you do that in color also, Rob?
other,
I can, yeah.
the yellow is Cambridge.
Okay.
Do we need any kind of motion for that percentage or estimation, to get the estimation?
I'll make a motion, we submit this map with a population of, what do you want?
1650.
1650, and get prices from Cambridge EMS.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Rob, if you wanna somehow get me that map, I can deliver that
Okay.
to Paul. And then our EMS.
Sorry, they got better maps, they can,
Yeah.
big
I
ones.
bet they'll have it figured out before we do, maybe.
Do you need this?
They've been working on it for a while.
Yeah, just for reference to start with, because it's
Right.
that way I have a visual.
Okay, All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Discussion or decision of budget workshop date. I'm gonna be gone the last 2 weeks of October, so
I'll be busy picking
Last
cars.
2 weeks, you'll be busy
from
picking.
the 18th to the 1st.
When are we gonna have DOR stuff?
Oh, that's just it. Some of it we don't get
We didn't get everything until later.
right. I
When are you gonna
would
be gone? You said 18th to when?
Unless I fall in.
put that on my-
So
Or
13th,
bang your finger on the log.
October 13th.
Well, I got insurance, so if something happens, it'll be okay. Or, if she was flights over there.
Yeah, but Joint Rock Lake meets that night. It depends on if we are meeting for the facilities.
12th, don't matter to me.
That's it. We
Wednesday.
got town board meeting that, and then if we meet the 12th, then we have the facilities meeting on the 13th.
Bang, bang, bang.
You're gonna duplicate me? That's a lot in 1 week.
You're thinking the 12th of October?
Well, we don't have to meet the 13th with
Should we do
facilities.
the 5th of October? Or is that too early, you think?
What if you did the 17th, Tom? Would you still be able to get ready to go?
Oh, I'm not worried about that. Yeah, because I leave on the 18th, I think. I think the 17th will be fine. Yeah, I'm not worried about that part.
Okay.
17th.
Let's see what I got on. Ooh, I've got things going on that night. I got library board meeting and historical society meeting that night.
I hate Fridays.
Yeah.
But you're busy though, you say you're busy then. Well, what do you have to do for a Joint Rock Lake committee?
It's getting everything ready for the town board meeting, getting all the budget stuff ready. And, yeah, if we don't have the facilities, I mean, it's not the snap of the fingers to get this stuff pulled together.
No, I know.
I mean, if we don't have facilities meeting that week, that would help. So if we schedule this and we bump this facilities to a different day, that would be
When's
better.
it due? Can you do it November?
Usually we're calculating the tax levy like Thanksgiving week, when it falls kind of in the middle of,
Yeah, but we have the budget approval, is at the November meeting?
at the November meeting, so.
So you got the first week of
That's on
November.
the 8th.
Got the second, third, and you got.
Let's just do the 13th and we'll figure it out.
Okay, 6 o'clock or?
Whatever you guys want to do now.
Yeah, how about 6:30?
6:30.
That gives me an extra half hour.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we have the budget workshop on October 13th at 6:30 PM Town Hall.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, correspondence.
I'm sorry, everything. I did get, and I think I had forwarded the email from John's disposal service for budget information.
You're gonna need to talk to him.
Yeah, and I was wondering if you want him to come
Yeah.
to the September meeting?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. All right, that's all I got.
Okay, meeting scheduled September 1st, 2022, Parks Committee meeting, September 6th, Plan Commission meeting, 7 PM Town Hall, September 8th, Joint Rock Lake Committee meeting, 6 PM City Hall, September 13th, Town Board meeting, 7 PM Town Hall, and September 15th, 2022, Town Hall Facilities Committee meeting, 6 PM at the Town Hall. Okay. Can we get a motion to move into closed session, which means
I will make that motion under 19.85 Wisconsin State Stat.
That should probably be read.
okay?
Second.
So the motion is to move into closed session under 19.85 Wisconsin statute for the nature of the business to be considered in closed session as the following: deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive bargaining reasoning is required in closed session, specifically in regards to contracts for emergency medical services.
Thank you.
All in favor to move into closed session?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion Motion carries, we move into closed session.